Ms. Kelly, you are here to determine if one of two men we've tested for paternity is your biological father. You hope to leave this courtroom today knowing your father's identity so he can walk you down the aisle at your wedding.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Duncan, you argue that Mr. Kelly's mother was in a relationship with you and another man during the time you dated. Now, while there are paternity questions, you hope you are her biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, we'll also hear from a second possible father, Mr. Anthony. He claims he was shocked just a few months ago. Ms. Kelly showed up at his doorstep and broke the news to him that he could also be her father. Talk to us about the journey you've been on trying to find out who your biological father is.
When I was 2, my grandparents started raising me, and I noticed that I was different because they're white and I was brown. My grandmother used to get awkward looks and she would say stuff to people, and sometimes kids gave me trouble at school. And when my grandfather, he got killed when I was 10, so not having that male influence in my life, I started to act out, get in trouble at school and all kind of stuff. And that's when Lariat thought it would be a good idea to let me meet my father. And she told me that there was a chance of 2 guys. She took me to meet her ex-boyfriend, and it was kind of awkward. He was quiet, showed no emotion, and I also met Mr. Duncan, and he's always opened his doors to me, him and his wife. He's always wanted me to be his.
And so, Mr. Duncan, when you were contacted, were you surprised and disbelief? What were your thoughts?
Oh, I was happy. I was proud. I was proud, you know, to have a look, you know, to have a child.
Did you question it? Did you have doubts?
I might have had a little doubt because at that time, she was living with a guy. She was living with a guy, but she was a nice-looking girl, and I was a little bit older, and maybe it might have been wrong, but she was real pretty. And I didn't look that bad myself back then, and I'm trying to bring her over to my side, but she's living with another guy.
She was in a relationship with somebody else and even living with them.
Yes, Your Honor.
But she was dating you on the side.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you wanted her to be with you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so when you got the call, you said to yourself, I remember who this is, of course.
True.
And you would be happy if this young woman is my daughter.
Right now today, and I've been hoping 24 years. I've been hoping the same thing, and I only had one mustard seed. That's all I got. It's one mustard seed about this little girl right here. But I tell you this right now, I hope to God this is my child. I do.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful to hear, sir. Miss Kelly, you remember, of course, the relationship because you introduced your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And you wanted to help her. You knew that it was time.
Yeah, because like I said,
Take me back a little bit.
Because like I said, I was young when I had her, and I made some mistakes, and my mom wound up wanting to step to the plate and raise her. So my mom and my dad raised her, and like I said, when my dad got killed, it really disturbed her. She's seen everything happen. So she started being rebellious towards my mom, and everything showed out in school and all. And I knew it was time. My mom never wanted her to know who her father was. And I knew I had to. She's mine, regardless. And I went to her house one day and I picked her up. And I took her to town and I said, Disney, I said, you have 2 possibilities of fathers. I said, it's time you meet both. I never hid this from her. I hated that happen. I really do. But she met the ex, and she went and met Mr. Duncan. And from then on, like I say, Mr. Duncan's always accepted her. The ex, it's just, when I told him I was pregnant and everything, it was just sort of just, he didn't care. It was the opposite with Charlie. And I want closure for her. She's been through enough in her life, and it's time she gets her closure.
Now, Mr. Duncan, take me back. Once you were in a relationship with Miss Kelly, you found out she was pregnant.
Yes, Mom.
And then what point did she start living with you? Because you said she was living with another man.
Yes, she was, yeah.
All right, so how did that come to be that she was living with you?
Me and Miss Kelly had spent some time together, and I took her and Destiny home. And her father come out, and me and him had some words. And I ain't gonna say what the words was, but they weren't no good words.
Understood.
So I told him, I said, well, they can come stay with me. I had my own house, I had my own land, I had a good job, I had a good car, and I wasn't that bad looking.
That's you?
That's me right there.
No, you weren't.
I
You wasn't that bad at all.
No, I wasn't that bad looking.
You did the right thing. What I want to understand is when you decided to take her in and say they could come live with you, what were you thinking? Did you doubt even then Destiny was yours?
It might come out today that she ain't my child because all them years, people would say, that ain't your child. She said, that ain't your child. But deep in my heart, every time they would say that, it's like somebody jugging me. It's like somebody's jugging, you know? Never once, not even one time did I ever turn my back on that child. I always knew that this little girl right here was mine. I always knew that.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. So after they came and lived with you, you all fell out, you got into a disagreement, and then you left.
Right. She chose to leave. Sometimes people, they get mad and the truth will come out. You know, but people will come up to me and say, she said, that ain't your little girl.
I understand. Ms. Kelly, I have to ask you, you started telling people that's not his child.
Yes, ma'am.
You said you told other people she wasn't his child. Did you ever tell him directly?
Well, Your Honor, it's been so long, I mean, I really can't recall.
Do you ever recall her telling you directly
Yes,
that's not your child?
Yes, Your Honor, I do recall her
What
telling
happened?
me to my face. And I knew that she could be telling the truth.
And so then people would come up to you on the street and say, she said that's not your child. Even though she told you to your face, Destiny may not be yours. You had the doubt, but you still were hoping. But you always believed in your heart after spending that time with her that that was your baby.
It might come out today that this ain't my child. But not once did I ever have doubt that she was.
All right. So at what point did you lose contact then? If you believed this was your child, knew this was your child, even though you two had broken up, how'd you lose contact with Destiny?
I didn't know what to do. The same pain that she was going through by people saying, this is your daddy and that's your dad and stuff like that. I went through the same pain of them telling me that that ain't my child. I know you don't know how it would feel for somebody to say that to you, but it really do hurt. Every time they say it, every time you hear it, I mean, it just breaks you down, but what could I do? I'm not sure that I'm her father. So should I go and start trouble? Should I start trouble or should I just love her from afar? All them years I watched her grow up. I loved her from afar, and I love her just as much today as I did today when she took that picture.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for that, sir. You know, Ms. Kelly, I have to ask you, this is difficult, and it's wonderful to hear, you know, a man be so passionate about a young girl that he believes is his daughter, despite what people tell him. I want to know from you, when did you hear that there were other possibilities? When did you hear that there were other possibilities? Your mom says she told you she was going to take you to the two possibilities. Tell me what happened when you met Mr. Anthony.
That was probably the most awkward situation I've ever been in my life.
What happened?
We go to knock on this man's door and tell him after 25 years later I might be his child.
No phone call first?
No.
Wow.
I was
you
ready.
knock on the door and what happens?
Lariette introduced us, and she just wanted to let him know there might be a chance to see how he felt about it, if he would be willing to take a test with me to give me that closure. And he was willing. At first it was strange, it was very quiet. We just kind of sat there and looked at each other, not much was said. I just looked at his pictures of his kids, and he has 7 children and I would be 8. 8's my favorite number.
Did you feel any connection?
I can see some resemblance in, I think, like 1 or 2 of his kids. And then he's got his certificates and stuff from school hanging on his living room wall, and I have my living room wall the same way.
So, Miss Kelly, do you remember the relationship with Mr. Anthony?
Yes, Your Honor, it was not even what you want to call a relationship. It was a 2-minute thing. We never seen each other again or nothing.
So it was more of a one-night stand?
Yeah, pretty much.
And you never saw him again?
No, I mean, I seen him as far as like around town or whatever, but
you never were intimate with him again?
Relationship-wise or nothing.
And so when you found out you were pregnant, did you ever tell him right from the beginning?
Because I think I was already pregnant when that occurred.
You think you were already pregnant?
Yeah.
So you're doubtful as to whether or not he's Destiny's father? You don't feel he is?
I don't feel he is.
But when you knew your daughter needed that connection, that father figure, you said it could be one of two people. Why did you include him?
He was the only other possibility that it could be.
Now let's get to the point where you've now met Mr. Anthony and you've met Mr. Duncan.
Yes.
When you finish meeting both of them, what are you thinking? Have you decided, no, I think this one is my father?
I compare lots of things, like Mr. Duncan's very outspoken. Depending on the situation, I could be outspoken. Mr. Anthony, he's kind of quiet and laid back, which I can be like that sometimes too. I compare the looks between Mr. Duncan's kids, Mr. Anthony's kids, just always looking for that one connection that will just make me think, yeah, this is it.
All right, well, Mr. Anthony has prepared a video statement for the court, and we can take a look at that now.
My name is Sammy Anthony. I just finished taking a DNA test to find out if 25-year-old Destiny is my daughter. When I first found out I could be Destiny's father, I was shocked. I never knew Miss Kelly was pregnant. I mean, this was the first I was hearing of it about a month ago when they approached me and said that I could possibly be the father. But now I don't think she looked like me or, my other kids. It's just hard after, finding out something like this after 25 years. You really don't know how to feel.
So after you see that, do you feel like his feelings about this, his emotions about this, is it fair?
Yeah, because if somebody came to my door and said I might have a 25-year-old child, I would be in shock also.
And Mr. Duncan, when the video was playing, you seemed to kind of look downward, disregard it. What did you feel? Do you feel like you want to honor the fact that this man potentially could be Destiny's father?
I know this man, and I don't have nothing against this man. If this is this man's daughter, then I'm proud for him to have his child, because if you ever had a child and you were glad to have a child, this would be one of them. So if this is his child, then I know he'll be more than proud for her to be his daughter.
So, Destiny, what are your hopes today?
I hope to find out that one of these two is the father and get some closure. We can hopefully form a relationship. They can get to know my kids.
How many children do you have?
3.
And what are your hopes today, Mr. Duncan?
I knew that one day that all this might happen, and I'm glad that it is. I hope that mustard seed that I got will come to be so. I'm glad that.
Well, Mr. Anthony also submitted a statement and outlined his hopes.
It's important for Paternity Court to give me these results, because ever since her and her mother approached me, I've been wondering, am I the father? So if it turns out that I am, I would love to have a relationship with her. But of course, that would be up to her.
Miss Kelly, what are your hopes?
Deep down inside, I'll be glad when the results are revealed. And I pray that Charlie is her father.
Okay. Jerome, the results, please. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Kelly v. Duncan Anthony, when it comes to Destiny Kelly, Mr. Anthony is not her father. In the case of Kelly v. Duncan Anthony, when it comes to Destiny Kelly, Mr. Duncan, you Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. In the case of Kelly v. Duncan Anthony, when it comes to Destiny Kelly, Mr. Duncan, you are not her father. I'm sorry to you both. I know how much you wanted it. Miss Kelly, how are you feeling?
Confused still.
That's understandable.
I'm just confused and anxious to find out who it is. I just want to know.
Absolutely, and you deserve to know. Because you are a beautiful, smart young lady, and any man should feel blessed and honored to have you as their daughter.
We'll be back.
Absolutely. And I was just about to say, he marched in right in the nick of time, because I was about to say, in this courtroom, we say all the time that it takes DNA to be a father, but it takes love to be a daddy. And you are so loved by Mr. Duncan. Mr. Weatherspoon, you have brought your ex to court because you claim she is trying to pin her 3-year-old son, Aiden Ferguson, on you. You claim to know who her child's father is, and that isn't you. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Ferguson, you claim that the plaintiff is denying your child only because he is a deadbeat who runs from his responsibilities. You testify you are certain he's your son's father, and once it's proven, he owes you and your son an apology. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Weatherspoon, why do you believe Ms. Ferguson is trying to pin her baby on you?
Well, first of all, Your Honor, from the time that I met this woman until now, it's been nothing but lies and deception. She know how I am with our oldest son, which is Cameron, and also my other kids as well.
You're such
she know
a
that I'm
liar.
a father and that I take real good care of my kids. So she wants it for herself. She like to make mistakes, and then she wants me to clean it up for her. We was together at
mistakes
one
did I
point, Your
make?
Honor, so she know what type of man that I am, and she wants me to share that same joy with the other kids that she also have. So that's why she's accusing me today.
Kids.
But you believe she's just trying to pin this baby on you. You believe she's just trying to pin this baby on you.
Trying to pin them on me.
Are you doing that, Ms. Ferguson?
No, Your Honor. If I pin some kids on this man, them his kids. I ain't just gonna pin no kids up on this man. He ain't nobody.
So you have another child together, an older child,
Yes, we do.
but you refuse to accept Aiden.
No, yes, Your Honor, yes, I do not accept him at all. My mama raised me not to never let a woman like this come and try to bring me down.
Woman like
It's not gonna happen.
how? What woman? Woman like
So
how?
hold on, Ms. Ferguson, does Mr. Weatherspoon treat Aiden differently than he does the other children?
I feel like he does.
How so?
because when he calls me or message me, he only asks about Cameron. He don't never ask about Aiden.
Really?
Yes.
And when he's coming to see Cameron, he doesn't play with Aiden?
He'll probably speak to Aiden, but he don't give him like that fatherly feel how he get Cameron. And Aiden deserves a father, his father, to be there just as well as he there for his oldest brother.
Your Honor, she trained this baby to call me daddy. She trained this baby to believe that I'm his father. She
Why would
showed
I train
she
him to
showed
call you daddy?
Pictures of him to me. When I come and see Cameron, that baby's calling me daddy. You gotta see how I
You're
feel
his
that this baby that I have no
father,
bond
Cordero.
or
You're his
connection with is
father.
calling me daddy. She's pushing something on me that I don't feel is not there.
And you believe she's trying to manipulate you and make the child call you daddy to make you buy into this fact.
Thank you.
So now you have Cameron, the first child.
Yes, Your Honor.
You don't question the paternity of Cameron, Mr.
No, I do not.
Weatherspoon.
No,
All
I do
right.
not. But
So-
I did start having my doubts, Your Honor, because after a while of us being together, I was actually sick one day and ended up going to go check my mailbox. I noticed the car was pulling up.
That wasn't me.
So I turned around and I think that car pulling up. So when the car pulled up, she got out the car. But as I'm looking over her shoulder, I see a white boy in the car with her. So I'm looking like, what's going on? I say, Belinda, who is that white man outside of my house? You know what I'm saying? So she's like, he just a friend. He just let me use his car to come over here.
He was
in my
with me.
mind, I'm thinking to myself, she never mentioned his friend.
You thought she was cheating.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you confronted her about that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Ferguson, were you cheating?
He was teaching me how to drive. We was friends.
Is he teaching you how to drive or teaching you how to ride?
He teaching
That's two different things.
He taught me how to drive out of a friendly gesture. That's all it was. It wasn't no intimate anything going on between me and that man. I even knew him before I even met Cordero.
So you were never intimate with him?
We was intimate before I even met him, but it was one time.
Okay, so see, now the plot thickens. See, this is the problem. Now I know why you never really told him too much about the man, because you would have had to admit this is a man I've been intimate with before.
I just didn't look at it that way.
So, Mr. Weatherspoon, is this the only other time you heard Miss Ferguson was entertaining other men?
I had some friends at this superstore, and they called me on the phone. And it's crazy because I was actually around the corner at another store with my sister shopping at the time. So they called me. They say, "Cordero, are you still with Belinda?" I say, "Yes, I am." They say, "Well, she just walked in the store holding hands with this other man."
I wasn't holding hands with her.
I said, "No." I said, "No, that's not her. That's got to be a lie."
I wasn't holding hands with
"We
him.
telling you." But in my mind, I knew they were telling the truth because I knew about this other man. You know what I'm saying? So I called Belinda's phone. There was no answer. I called her again. There was no answer. I called her for the third time. She picked the phone up, but it sounded like she was in the bathroom and I could hear echo. I said, "Where are you?" She said, "I'm at a party store with my friend. We getting some stuff for her party." She hung the phone up. When she hung,
I didn't hang the phone up.
When she hung that
I didn't hang the phone up.
I went to my sister and I said, "Can I see your keys? Please let me see your keys." I hurried and jumped in her truck. I tried to make it to that superstore, you know what I'm saying, to try to catch her up. So I drove as fast as I can around that corner, and when I got there,
But
I ran up
nobody
inside.
holding
My
hands
friends
with
inside, where is she? She's already
they
gone.
get the holding
So I was
hands
real
from?
upset then.
So you just missed her?
I just missed her. So in my mind, I said, enough is enough, I'm done.
All right. If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell.
I don't recall that, Your Honor. I don't recall him because after that situation with my my friend, we was at, the supermarket holding hands. I mean, we weren't holding hands. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute.
We wasn't holding hands.
Oh.
We wasn't. I'm sorry. We wasn't holding hands. We was at the supermarket.
Wait a minute. You testified earlier that you were not holding hands.
It came out wrong. We was not holding hands, but we was at the supermarket. We was at the supermarket together.
So now that's the same man that's teaching you how to drive. Now he's taking you to the supermarket.
Yes.
All this while you're supposed to be in a relationship with Mr. Weatherspoon.
Yeah, but at that time, I didn't feel like me and him would be serious. I didn't know that we was gonna get as serious as we did. So I was still, I was talking to a friend. I didn't feel like it was going. I didn't feel like I was disrespecting him. I didn't feel like I was disrespecting him.
So now he says he's done. At some point you break up?
Yes, we did. We broke up. I ended it. I didn't want it no more.
And that's before Aiden was conceived.
Exactly.
So now you're convinced that she was dating another guy during this breakup.
Yes, it was an incident with this street thug guy. You know what I'm saying? I was actually coming to see Cameron and pick him up, to spend time with him. And when I got to her, where she was staying at first, the street thug and her was pulling up in a car. You know what I'm saying? So I asked her, Belinda went, what is my son doing in the car with this man? So she, no, we weren't doing that. I was just driving him around. We was running his errands. So I looked at her and I grabbed my son and I just walked away after she told me that.
But how does that say that I was messing with the man?
Hold on, well, wait a minute, Miss Ferguson. It's only so many rides and driving around the corner and supermarket runs. This don't make no kind of sense. You keep looking over him like you crazy. I don't know what you're talking about, but you admit you with these men. White man,
So,
the
of
street
course,
thugs.
If I'm not with him, I can do whatever I want to. If me and him not in a relationship.
So you saying this is when you all were done?
Yeah, we was done. That's when he told me about.
So you
fidelity.
you were entertaining. You did have another friend
Yeah,
at
I
that
had
time.
another friend, but we wasn't together. We wasn't in a relationship, so I could do what I want. And plus, he had a whole
So,
woman that he was
Mr.
messing with.
Weatherspoon, what you're saying is you believe this other man is Aiden's biological father.
Exactly, Your Honor. That's exactly what I'm saying. I believe the other dude is his biological father. One time she called me and she told me Cameron needed Pampers. She didn't know when I was gonna come and bring the Pampers. I didn't tell her, but it was 7 o'clock at night. I decided to come and drop his Pampers off. I rang her doorbell. She normally answered her doorbell. You know what I'm saying? But this time she didn't answer, so I called her phone. She didn't answer the phone call, so I texted and said, I'm downstairs with my son Pampers. So she texted me back and said, I'm at church. So I'm thinking to myself, you at church? It's 7 o'clock at night. She said, I'm at night church with a family member.
I'm just glad she going somewhere, church, so she be riding in that car with everybody. So you was at church?
Yes, I was at church.
You said?
Yeah.
Who
Yes,
took
Your
you?
Honor. My sister.
Thank you, Lord. So, Mr. Weatherspoon, so you at the door with the Pampers. She says, I'm at church.
Yes.
Then what happens?
And then I found the other family members, the other family members of hers to confirm her story. And that family member says, no, she's not at no church with the other family member, that was a lie. So I text her phone back and said, where's you at with my son? You're not at no church. So she called me and said, I'm on my way. Whole time I'm standing on the strip in the building where she at, I noticed the car pulled up on the side. She hurried up and get my son out, and she came out and talked to me. I said, I thought you was not gonna take my son back to that street thug house.
Oh, wait, hold on. When she pulled up, she didn't get out of her sister's car?
No, she got out of the street thug's car.
Miss Ferguson, I thought you just testified that you were at church and your sister brought you.
We did go to church, but at that time that he texted me, we was leaving church, and I ended up going to the dude's house. Well, I was at church.
So a month later,
I didn't lie about church.
A month later after that incident, she claimed she was pregnant, was supposed to be with her son, Aiden.
So take me to that day. How did she tell you she was pregnant?
Well, first, Your Honor, she sent me a text and said, I think I'm pregnant. I said, about who? You know what I'm saying? So so when I said that, she called me. She's like, pretty much stop playing, I think I'm pregnant for real. So I hung the phone up. So she went to go take a pregnancy test, sent me the pregnancy test and said, yeah, I'm pregnant. What are we gonna do? I said, no, what are you gonna do?
No, you
laughed. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much that's when I knew and started feeling like
so
that's
Miss
my
Ferguson,
child.
You tell Mr. Weatherspoon you pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's the first person you tell?
Yes, Your Honor. He the first person that I told.
Did you tell the other guy?
No, the other guy didn't have no reason.
Why not?
No, because I wasn't sexually active with the other guy. We was just conversating. When I was going to his house, we was just chilling. It was never anything sexual between us.
Right, y'all was chilling at his house.
Yeah, because you go to somebody's house, doesn't mean you have to have sex with them.
Come on, man, he's a street thug.
We never had sex. We never had sex.
Oh, Lordy. So, Miss Ferguson, I really want to keep it real. Are you suggesting that through all of this, everything you've done all this time, you've never had sex with anybody else?
No, Your Honor.
Are you for real?
So all it is entertainment, nothing sexual.
Who entertains a super thug, Yana? Who does that?
The same person that entertains another
What
person.
is a super thug?
A street
person
thug.
that entertains
Whatever. She made him
guy.
seem super to me. She made him seem super to me.
So, Miss Ferguson, take me to the birth.
I went through the labor without him. After I had Aiden, I called him. He came up there and he walked right back out. He looked at Aiden and walked right back out.
Is that what you did, Mr. Weatherspoon?
That's exactly what I did, Yana. I walked right in, I looked at that baby, it was no attachment, no feeling with me. I know my kids, I have
But
a
Aiden
bond,
looked just
I have
like
an
you.
attachment with all
Look at
my
him.
kids. When I walked in that hospital and seen that particular baby in the bed, I knew for a fact that told me
Sounds
to
so
get out of
stupid.
there.
You got
So
your
that's what I
nose.
did, I left.
And Mr. Weatherspoon, you never volunteered to do anything for the baby when the baby was a newborn, when Aiden was first born? No Pampers, no toys, no clothes, no onesies, no visits, no nothing?
No, Yana, I left that to the man who was responsible for that situation.
Aiden even have his dry skin, just like him.
Now he got dry skin.
He do have dry skin, just like
I
him.
told her about my eczema. I have eczema. I told her
Aiden
about
have
it.
the same thing.
When that baby started growing up, she gave
Same
me a
thing.
call and said, I think he really yours. He's starting to have dry skin like you.
I never said
now all of a
he
sudden he
think he
got
really
dry
yours.
skin like me.
Just like
So, what I want to understand is, because when we talk about eczema, eczema actually runs in my family a lot too. So I want to get more information on this and see how this potentially could relate to the paternity question we're here to deal with. So I'm calling on Dr. Jamila Gator. Jerome, will you please escort Dr. Gator into the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
I would like to ask her a few questions about this. Hi, Dr. Gator.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us again. So I was curious as to the medical information we have regarding eczema. Is this something that's related to genetics that could be somehow connected to paternity?
Well, possibly. Eczema is typically caused by allergies, which are often hereditary. And what happens is the skin gets irritated when it's exposed to certain environmental factors like foods, pollen, mold, dust mites. And that causes the skin rashes that we see, the dry, patchy skin with eczema. But eczema can also be caused by other environmental irritants like soaps, detergents, lotions that come in contact with the skin. And then in that case, it wouldn't necessarily be due to allergies and then typically not hereditary.
So I have to ask you, Miss Ferguson, do we know if the street thug has eczema?
No, Your Honor, I do not know that.
I don't know what this
What I'm
woman's saying.
saying is true and it's real.
But
That's what I'm
we've,
saying.
no, but the truth is what we've heard from the doctor is there could be more than one cause. And that leaves us smack dab in the middle of some more confusion. Thank you, Dr. Gator, for being with us. You've provided us with the testimony we needed. When I call a witness, sometimes I feel like I'm gonna get greater insight. But I feel like after hearing Dr. Gator testify, it truly validates the doubt that we see here. Because we really don't know. We've talked about super thugs, superstars, but we are in fact dealing with a super mystery.